Right now, that hearing on former President Trump's $175 million bond in his New York civil fraud case is on, and New York Attorney General Letitia James, remember she's very politically thirsty, is challenging that bond, claiming the insurance company behind the bond does not have the resources to pay up if Trump's appeal fails. Man, put down the shovel. Just dig, dig, dig. The New York Times reports that former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker will be the prosecution's first witness on the trial where Trump is today. And prosecutors are claiming that Trump concocted a catch-and-kill scheme with Pecker to bury negative stories. Fox News legal editor Carrie Kupaker-Bond with this.
You can buy rights to a story and then choose not to publish it. Some people may not like it, but there's nothing inherently illegal about it. Okay. And that's not part of this case. I think the prosecution wants to bring this in, though, to say, well, he and Trump had some kind of agreement that he was going to help him out with the election.
I want to bring in now former federal prosecutor Andrew Cherkaksy. And Andrew, we now have learned that the prosecution has finished with its opening arguments, and now the defense is giving its opening arguments. We have producers in the courtroom, so we're getting real time what's going on in there. What are your thoughts on this case?
Well, it sounds like the opening from the prosecution, Michael Colangelo, was focused on the idea that Donald Trump lied over and over and over again, referring to the entries in the New York business record saying that the payments were legal retainers. The problem with the prosecution here is that that seems to be a perfectly reasonable and rational entry into the books there. It's not as though Donald Trump put in there donation to child cancer charity. He was referring to the idea that he's engaged in legal payments, and that's what the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt is fraud. And I don't think that they did a very good job from the notes that I've seen so far to convince the jury on the onset that that's a fraud.
So the defense has a couple of things to work with. They've got what you just handed them. And then also, well, if the prosecution cares that much about lies, why in the world did they call as one of their lead witnesses Michael Cohen, a professional liar, a convicted liar in this case? Is it just to dial up the salaciousness of it all?
Well, it seems every witness of the prosecution has issues with lies. Not only Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels, even the editor of the National Enquirer seems to have taken a plea deal, essentially, an immunity deal to get out of his own prosecution. So the prosecutors are pointing the finger at Donald Trump, but their witnesses all have deep credibility issues. The defense is no doubt going to hammer that all morning through their opening statement and throughout the rest of this trial. Credibility is ultimately going to be the most important thing throughout this trial, and whether or not Donald Trump testifies, the defense and the prosecution are going to have to deal with each one of these witnesses' credibility along the way, and the prosecution has to focus on the idea that they have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. So even if the jury thinks that it might have happened or probably happened, if they can't get to that high level of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and that's why the defense in this case should be looking for a win. That's what they are going into on this Monday morning.
And you think that they've got a fairly good case based on those witnesses alone? I mean, if you have a bevy of liars, I don't think that that's worse than circumstantial evidence. I mean, it sounds like it's cut and dry, but it won't be where Trump is concerned. And I want to jump to the next case just to prove that point. So now in the fraud case, after the former president came up with that $175 million bond, Letitia James, the attorney general, is now saying that the insurance company that backs up that bond doesn't really have the resources to do that. Now, I accused her of digging deep with a shovel. Maybe I'm right and maybe I'm wrong. We've got the legal expert here. Your thoughts?
Well, I think that you're right on to say that she's not only trying to dig deep here, I think she's trying to figure out a way to move into Trump Tower. That's what she's been looking for all along. If she wants office space in Trump Tower, she should fill out a rent application for that. This is a legal technicality I think that she's going in on, although I don't have faith in Judge Engoron. He has repeatedly had unfair rulings to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has told us all about that. And that's the same issue that we have right now with the jury trial. well, is that there are deep concerns with the fairness with the people that are making the decisions for Donald Trump in the highly blue Manhattan jurisdiction.
So you still have your doubts. I've heard other legal experts say that they were surprised that after so much, fruitless trying on the last day, it just all came together like the end of a Hallmark movie. And so what do you think he's really facing there? Because I don't know anybody in New York, at least I haven't met that person, who hasn't even at least seen the name Trump on the West Side Highway here.
With what's going on with Letitia James's claim that this bond isn't legitimate, I guess Judge Engoron could strike that entirely and essentially make it so that Donald Trump is in default, whether that means he wouldn't be allowed to appeal or whether he's given some extra amount of time. We've seen the appellate court already give Donald Trump extra time in order to post this bond. Perhaps if this wasn't done with crossing the T's and dotting the I's, a little extra time would be given. But I think that the bond is put up there. Donald Trump put up the cash, and it should be something that is sufficient to get this through the appellate process.
Yeah, I just remember her words. She wants to get him. And if that's the case, to take his name down off things and that's really what the goal was, to be able to run Donald Trump out of town. And now he's here. He's in court for the next few weeks, so we're told. We'll see what happens. I appreciate always your time. When you come back, I'd love to get a lesson from you on free speech on American campuses. Let's go there next time. Good to see you.
Of course. Thank you, Harris.
Thank you.